What is up, gang? Feels like it's been a long time, but I'm back working on the Rover. Brakes. The rotors are starting to get pretty bad, and I got a mystery noise coming from the left front corner, so I'll be checking that out in a little bit. So let me show you what I got going on right now. Alright, so the rear is where I've begun, and you can see that the slotting and cross drilling, the slotting is nearly gone. That's how worn out these rotors are, and they got a nice little lip on the corner there. So I'm going to replace them. The brake pads actually aren't very bad. The brake pads are pretty good, but I got a good deal on this kit, which I'll show you in just a little bit. So I'm going to take all this stuff apart and do rotors and pads, and then lube everything up because it's northern Michigan and stuff rusts quite quickly around here if you're not paying attention. So yeah, you can see that that slot is like, it's almost gone. If that was a tread bar, the tires would have to go. All right, so it's getting pretty bad. So they got to go. The car's been stopping fine. It's just something I noticed when I was washing it, that, you know, these rotors are looking pretty rough. And the backside, it's all pucked up and scored and everything else. So getting rid of them is a good thing. Move on to the new hotness. Okay, so here's what I'm putting on. This is the driver's side front rotor. The rear rotors are the same. They're gonna match. This is the rear pads, front pads. Mine is a Supercharged, so I got the Brembos. It comes with the clips. And then I got the wear sensors, front and rear, and then of course the pad guides for the rear. So I'll be putting all this stuff on. Not exactly going to do a step-by-step because it's brake pads and rotors, and there's a million videos about it. So I was more sharing with you that I got all this stuff, front and rear rotors. So I got 3 more just like it. I got all this stuff for just over 200 bucks with free shipping off eBay. Outfit called Brake Motive. I did the same thing with the rotors before, and I got, what, 3.5 years out of the other rotors. So worthwhile investment in my opinion. The brake pads are kind of hit or miss. I always like the Wagner Thermoquiets, but these came with the kit, everything 200 bucks. Yeah, I'll ride these for a while and see how well they do. It's worth the money in my opinion. The squeeze is worth the juice, as we used to say. So let me get this going and I'll catch you up when I'm done. Alright gang, quick side note. I do live in northern Michigan, that's pretty obvious, okay? So what I like to do is use anti-seize and axle grease and, you know, things of this nature as lubricants and things to preserve stuff. So one thing I'll do is take some high-temp wheel bearing grease that's specifically made for brake parts and such, and coat the rubber around that piston that comes out of the caliper there, and then collapse it. That way it goes inside and everything's nice and lubed up and it's not going to dry rot and get a bunch of salt in there and so on. Because, I mean, look how much rust and corrosion I'm already looking at, and these calipers are just barely a year old. So the winters are pretty harsh up here. That also goes for the rotors. I just put the center pin on there. But the back side of this I'll coat up on the hub so it doesn't get stuck on the hub. And then, remember, I'm using 25mm wheel spacers, so I also coat that up with some anti-seize. Then stick that puppy on there. These blocks, wheel spacers, are a nice tight fit too, so you ain't got to worry about too much, you know, getting out of center and wobbling or anything of that nature. And they're hub centric, so they fit on there really nice and tight. Okay, so that's about it. The rest of it, all the other 3 corners are about the same. So I just want to give you a heads up on that stuff because that's a funny thing that I do, I suppose, as opposed to people who live down south. So, all right, carrying on. Alright gang, I just went and got the pads seated. You can see they nice and broke in, even pad wear, which is fantastic. All the way around. The rotors feel great. Of course, it stops better. And then here's the rears, which are identical to the fronts, except a little bit smaller. The rotors are made by EBR, and the pads were, I don't know, they had some code or something. I don't know who makes them. but it's some serial number or something. But they're supposed to be good, dustless, high heat, ceramic type pads. So time will tell with those. Well, another job done on the old L322 Range Rover. Brakes and rotors, check that box, man. They are done. They are complete. The car's stopping great. Nice, straight and even. I did notice one of the pistons in the front, this corner, right front Brembo, didn't want to collapse fully. I had to persuade it to collapse fully inside the body. So that's something I'm going to have to look into. So there may be a Brembo brake caliper rebuilding video coming up here. So we'll take a look at that in the future. But as of right now, all 4 rotors, all 4 sets of pads, everything is fantastic. The car stops really well. I couldn't be happier. Of course, new brakes have that habit, okay? I understand that. But they're sexy. Cross-drilled, slotted, kind of like the M5 here, except not slotted. And it was like $205, okay? And that was from Brake Motive, all right? Now, understand, I'm not paid by any of these people. I'm not paid by anybody. I'm just doing this DIY Range Rover, Northern Michigan, M5, whatever YouTube channel, just to share information on a mass media kind of platform for people that are like-minded, because this is kind of a DIY thing, yeah? So it's easy to afford one of these when you DIY. So the Brake Motive brakes came with the wear pad sensors. Speaking of, I got really lucky with the rear sensor and I didn't have to replace that one, the wear pad sensor, because I hate replacing that one because it winds all the way up and around and up inside the frame and all, and I get hands that don't fit in those tiny little places, so I'm super thankful that I didn't have to replace that one. Everything else went pretty straightforward. It's brakes. It's not, you know, rebuilding a seized engine or something like that. It's really, really, really straightforward. That's why I didn't record the whole thing. But again, Brake Motive provided the stuff, $205. Found them on eBay. Search for, you know, make, model of the vehicle, and they popped right up. $205, 4 rotors, 4 pads, and 2 wear pad sensors. You can't beat that. And then all the necessary clips and whatnot to complete the job. Very, very straightforward, very easy thing to do, and I highly encourage even the novice of mechanics to give it a shot. It's not as hard as you think. Excuse me. The big difference is up here in Northern Michigan, I know I keep mentioning that, but it is a contention to think about all the salt and everything during the wintertime. It's very, very hard on the vehicles. So what I always do is just make sure you lubricate everything. Put the brake caliper seal stuff, here it is right here. This is something I like to use. It's by Permatex. It is Ultra Brake Parts Lubricant. Awesome, awesome stuff. I'll pluck out the caliper guides on the carrier of the bracket itself, and then it's got the little spoon in here. Coat that sucker up with them. Stick it back in there. Everything moves nice and smooth. Love it. I even coat the piston boots inside the caliper themselves before I collapse the piston into the body. That way it doesn't get all gummed up and dried out and torn up. And that's made a world of difference. Any of the other moving parts, I do the same. So mating surfaces also, I'll do that. The back side of the rotor, I'll put a little of this where it meets the hub, and then the sealing face on the hub. I'll put just a very, very, very light cover on this, just so it's, you know, providing some kind of barrier so salt and rust and whatnot don't get in there. And then, of course, with the lug nuts and other things, fasteners, I like to use the copper anti-seize, and that seems to work really, really well. I haven't had a problem yet, but I do, you know, check the torque on my lug nuts and things like that after a little bit of time, just to be sure, you know, that they're good to go. Because, you know, I actually do like to just cruise 80 miles an hour with the wind in my hair and not have to worry about something stupid like lug nuts. So that's why I do the things I do. Straightforward job. Again, highly recommend anybody give it a shot themselves. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I'll get to it. Believe me, I'm on top of the comments because I really like the feedback and the interaction with viewers, subscribers, you know, people just passing through, checking out my channel, whatever. Please feel free. Hit me up on a comment, suggestion, idea, process improvement, you know. Give me some ideas because we're always trying to improve ourselves. Otherwise, why even bother? All right? So we got some M5 videos coming up. The car's been running great, so I haven't had to make a video about it. So we'll see about that one. I hope you liked the new intro that I've included with this, because I figured the wintry, snowy doesn't really fly in wintertime. So I went ahead and changed all that. So again, like, share, subscribe, comment. Feel free to hit me up with whatever questions you have. I'll answer them as best I can. Or at least provide you with a resource to find your answer. All right? So you guys take it easy. Do a lot of four-wheeling this summer. And I will catch you on the next video.